Welcome. This is a talk about the reflections around the impact of COVID-19 in our scene. This is the Holland edition. Marika's invited me to do something for their platform, and I actually didn't know what. After thinking a lot, I was actually just curious how everybody was doing. So when I spoke to Isabella and Elo about this idea, they said this is great. Maybe we can point out your country, like what's going to happen. So I'm Carlos. I'm a promoter since 2004. I do parties in mostly Amsterdam. I started Is Burning at Trouw in 2014. I've been collecting records since 1999 and playing around. And since since this year, 2020, I opened a bar, a queer bar, Pamela. So yeah, I've gathered a few people that are in the same industry as I am to have a conversation about how this all affected us and in what way. So maybe it's good to let them introduce themselves. And I'm going to start with Yeti.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Yeti. I'm started also as a promoter in 2008. From there, I started. I opened a club. I ran a club which is already closed now, called Bar in Rotterdam, and after that, opened an arcade hall which is still open now, together with a club space, and I'm also DJing. So it affects from different angles, I guess.
Veronique.
I'm a promoter. I've been working in the event industry since 2015, I think, booking festivals. And next to that, I'm also a booker and club manager for Was. It's a venue in Utrecht, and we are a pop-up venue, and we opened in 2017.
Ilias.
Hi, I'm Elias. I'm the founder of Minor AM, which is an independent booking agency based in Amsterdam. So what we do is we fully take care of bookings, and we provide management to a certain extent for a roster of artists, ranging from some Dutch names to some more international names. And I've been doing this since last year. Yeah.
Elisa.
My name is Elisa, and I'm one of the bookers from the school. For the last 6 years, I've been working in clubs in different cities. I started in Madrid, which is my hometown. And then I worked with Yeti in Bar. And from there, I started doing the programming at the school together with Luke.
Yay! Welcome all.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, really nice to all have you. And thanks again to Marikas for letting us do this. So I'm just gonna explain really shortly how the situation in Holland is regarding to regulations. As far as I know, please fill me in if I miss something. So we're all in they call it intelligent lockdown, which means we have to stay home if we feel ill and quarantine ourselves for 14 days. If we don't feel ill, we can go outside, but we have to take 1.5 meter distance of each other. Schools are closed, but I think that's going to change soon. All bars, all clubs, all public gatherings are not possible. The public transport is still going, but also there is 1.5 meter distance. Am I forgetting something?
Yeah,
No,
you have to
really.
stay inside as well as much as possible and work from home as much as possible. Like, you're allowed to go out for a brisk walk or like for jogging, but that's it. Like, you can't go out to the park and chill with your friends, even if it's distance. So
So
Yeah.
maybe it's interesting to ask first before we continue, like how it's really affecting us. If you really notice, because everybody here is, well, not everybody, but most of us are living in different parts. So I'm curious if people are actually obeying or like actually following the rules in.
I mean, for example, I live in Slotervaart, which is west, and I live quite close to some parks, and there's a lot of like space to go for a walk. So it's quite busy here. I feel like everyone is walking towards my area to go for a walk and to have a chill and to, which is weird. I don't know how it is in the center. I haven't really been.
No, I haven't been either. I heard from friends that if you go to the center, it feels like it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
There's so many people there and just shopping. And but I haven't been there. What I do is I walk a lot.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I because otherwise I go crazy if I have to stay in the house the whole time. So I just
Because
walk and I make sure I go to like a little bit more quiet areas actually.
Yeah.
And Elisa?
I mean, when I go shopping or when I go for a walk, I see the street. I think it's too crowded.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I'm also happy that we're able to go outside because my family and my friends in Spain, they're like on total lockdown and they're going crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that we're in this intelligent lockdown.
Yeah.
Because so far it seems that it's working. I mean,
Exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, my parties is burning are completely cancelled. We postponed our 6-year anniversary till the Pride edition. Then Pride got postponed. We have a date, but I don't think that's going to happen in September. My DJing is came back to zero, so no income, and our bar, since 2 or 3 weeks, I think 2 weeks, we now are actually we're experimenting with takeaway cocktails, and like we're gonna do some quizzes, and we might open for food. So for me personally, this is the only kind of like my hope that will pick up soonest.
Create some revenue.
Yeah.
So I'm actually quite curious how this is affecting you as an agent, for example, Ilias.
Actually, I think it has been pretty devastating in the sense that you have to cut short of all. We have been cut short of all income, and I mean all gigs have been cancelled. But it's quite tricky in the sense that a lot of promoters have been waiting for actual governments to cancel stuff. I mean, I'm sure you can relate to that, Veronique. Whereas you don't really have a lot of insurance if the government hasn't put a certain date on cancel yet. So I think like the timeline is really tricky in the sense that I don't know when shows will pick up again. And at first I've been just trying to do a lot of damage control in the sense that I've been trying to stay really optimistic, and I was just trying to work as much as possible and trying to reschedule things that were canceled, for example, in March to later in the year in October. Whereas now, especially this week, I feel like I've had another reality check where I'm like, you know what, maybe all those rescheduled dates won't even happen by that time. So I feel like I'm going through different phases. And I feel like we are in some sense.
Definitely.
Does it feel, for me, it really feels like I need to reinvent myself.
Yeah, exactly. And definitely the reinventing part is really interesting. And I feel like that's really something that I have to do. And I also have to like create new structures within the agency that are like providing some sort of sustainability. Then with sustainability, I mean, just in the simplest way, think outside of the box. I mean, music is used in all sorts of industries and commerces that aren't hit by the epidemic. So maybe just shift your view on different perspectives. I know that there's this agency in Amsterdam that has been doing this since the start. They're called the Collective Studio, and they've been like doing music publishing as well, which is something that I've been thinking about, and I finally have a lot of time to explore those grounds. So that's what I've been doing mostly, and also just trying to provide some sort of possibilities for my artists. I mean, some of my artists are based in the Netherlands, and then some are based in New York, for example, where they have no social support whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I feel like also there are a lot of brands now that are trying to help us and that are trying to provide some paid opportunities with, for example, home live stream, where you can still make some money to pay your rent, you know?
Yeah.
So I've been chasing those opportunities mostly, and then that's it. I'm just trying to hustle it through.
Wow,
Yeah.
hustler.
Yeah.
What about you, Elisa? How is that for you as a programmer of a like club that was open like almost no, not all days, but a lot of days?
Yes, I feel very lucky to still have my job. We're struggling because we have really high fixed costs. So we are surviving it right now, but we're definitely struggling with the rent and paying the stuff. I also feel like we're in some sort of limbo where we're waiting to have a clearer picture of how the future will look like. I think in the beginning we were quite naive, as everyone else, just postponing shows to the end of summer, and we thought it was going to be like a small break, but then we realized that it was a total game changer. And then we also realized that postponing these shows, maybe not everything made sense, because there's going to be a new context and we have to adapt to it. Mm-hmm. So I think in general we're trying not to rush with conclusions or plans, and just listen to others and to have a better insight of how their situation is, because I think otherwise we won't be able to overcome it together. So I think in general everything feels very up in the air, and we're just also trying to think in other possibilities to use the space within this 1.5 meter economy. And I hope I hope we're able to open the restaurant and the cafe sooner than the club, probably. And we're just thinking about alternatives and just waiting to see how the situation will be like.
Yeah.
And what about you, Veronique?
It's just like Ilya said, I have phases. So in the beginning you're like, this is gonna pass by, it's fine, just stay positive, and then you get smacked in the face because it's like there's a ban until June, and then you're like, okay, you recover from that, and then you reinvent yourself and you look forward and you're like, okay, at least we can work on this. And then you start to realize like, okay, this is very optimistic, it's probably not going to be like this, like there has to be there's going to be more consequences. And then you get to hear that, like I even had to prepare festivals that were in mid-June, for example, and events that were taking place in the beginning of June, knowing that they would be cancelled. So so we're doing work for nothing.
For the idea of the people that are maybe not familiar with how many events you do, like can you give us a number of when you planned festivals this year, and also for us?
On a yearly basis, it's hard to say because it's quite a lot. But I know that we had like after the ban until the 1st of September that was given out last Tuesday. We had to cancel 11 festivals.
What?
Oh my god!
Yeah, and also
I didn't know you did so many. Wow.
Yeah, and also 2 club editions it was. Those were also cancelled. So it's a lot.
Yeah. And what about you, Yeti?
Yeah, well, I don't know about you guys, but my emotions go from here to here the whole day, and it changes every hour. At the moment we're really looking into, like, with the arcade and the club, how we can like either completely change our business model, because it's a very it's a place where people get really close to each other, and I don't know when that's going to happen again. So we will survive now while we're closed, but also for the future, when we open again, like for how long would we have to take a distance from each other?
Yeah.
If the concept that we have now, that's not really going to be possible. So we either need to come up with a completely new concept. For example, we're looking into making a vegan sushi takeaway restaurant.
Nice.
But I'm not sure if this is.
Yeah, that is nice. That is nice. That's what Rotterdam needs.
Yeah,
sure.
Exactly. But yeah, we need to see if we are actually able to do this, and also if we can motivate ourselves. We go to the office. Chris and I go to the office like 3 days a week, just to talk about this stuff. And sometimes you are really motivated to reinvent yourselves. And
Yeah.
And we also talked about it several times to get ourselves declared bankrupt. Just with everything. And we kind of need to decide very soon, but it's also because we are renting from the city council, and they didn't. We asked for a rent-free period because we have no income.
Yeah.
They didn't say yes to that yet, and we need
Did
to
they say
decide
no?
very quickly. They said no at first. They said they wouldn't, that we would have to pay everything. And
that's also such a tricky.
It really upsets me to hear that. It's so awful when I hear the news what the government, and especially in Rotterdam, is actually supporting at the moment, where I feel like, how can you actually say that?
They told us, we have so many renters, and then we explained to them, but you can't, some people can still work, and we don't have any income, so it's everywhere. So overthinking it again now, and we're looking into if we are actually, if we also have the personal responsibility to pay this back, or if it's only by the company. If we have the personal responsibility, then we need to then we need to quit ASAP.
Oh shit!
Then we're in so much debt. So we don't know yet what's happening. So it's
that's the most killing part about this all, like the whole uncertainty. Like you don't know how long this is going to be for, and you don't know what the future is going to look like. And if it's like, it could be for the rest of next year as well. That's like the worst case scenario. But that's like, I've been hearing that around, that people are saying, probably big events are going to be canceled for the whole next year as well.
Oh my God, stop.
Yeah.
But also really like sad to hear, because I didn't really ask these questions to club owners at first, but now hearing that from Yeti, that's pretty hard. Like that comes.
It's really hard, and it's, we know what's happening now, and you get some support from the government. Also, it doesn't cover everything, but okay. At least I can pay some money to my employees. That's the most important thing. But we're still like, the debts are rising, and even after when we can open again, it's like it's going to be so minimalized that then it's going to be very exciting, because then they tell you like, okay, now you have to take care of your own money again. But how am I going to do that when people need to keep distance, and I can like host 10 people in the club,
I think that's the main thing, that horeca spaces and nightclubs and also festivals cannot really operate within this 1.5 meter economy. So we need other solutions, other proposals, and other ideas, and then I think right now are not really being
brought up.
So how is the government helping you guys? Let's start with Elias.
So basically, Minor consists of one person, which is myself, which makes it fairly easy, because I just apply for the TOZO-regeling, which is the bridging benefit. And to be honest, I've been having quite an easy time to afford everything and pay all my bills with this bridging benefit. But then again, I don't even know if it's a loan or a gift or. But then I'm very happy with it. Let's say that, and I feel like I'm very privileged to get it, and I don't have more costs than what I'm getting now.
Yeah.
So that's really nice. Yeah.
And Elisa, is this the government helping you personally, or is the school helped by the government?
Yeah, the school is getting help from the government that is helping most of the companies in general. I think we're what Ilya said, we're just very privileged to live in a rich country, because this is definitely not happening in other places. So we're very lucky. I don't have full insight on the financial situation. I know that we also had to ask for bank loans, and that we are surviving thanks to this and the help from the government. I don't know if it's enough or for how long will be.
Yeah, and then it's quite hard to get loans also. I noticed.
Yeah.
So that's the problem, you know, nobody is gonna lend you money, but you need it to pay the bills next to the employees.
But even if you lend it, it's still like, hey, we're getting out of this and we're
exactly.
in debt
When am I
now.
going to be able to pay it back?
To pay it, exactly. And I think what we're missing the most is communication from the side of like the representatives from the government and the intermediaries as well. And I think we should get some more specific proposals, like the ones that I'm reading from Berlin. I think they're being like the German government and the municipality there is being a bit faster with providing solutions that are a bit more specific.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And what about Veronique? Is the government helping the business you are involved with?
Not really. I think my employer, luckily I'm employed, so my job is safe for now. The question is for how long. I know that in the future, since there's going to be less work, he probably has to apply for a werktijdverkorting. So that means that the government is going to pay for part of my salary so that I can still get paid out in full. But that's only for like a few months. And after that, I might be unemployed as well. And the company itself, I think it's getting 4,000 euros, also the same amount that Ilyas is getting. That's like a general amount that everybody gets who owns a business that is affected by this crisis.
But also maybe for the people that maybe don't have so much insight in what it actually means. I mean, of course, everybody has a different story, but like on a club, on a level of owning a club or having a festival, there goes 10,000s of euros in before you actually have the festival. You need to you need to sell all these tickets, and then well, maybe if you sell out, you will get obviously a profit. But if a show is cancelled, a festival, then there's been like a great amount of hours put in already, a great amount of fees, of travel, of I don't know what, art distribution of art flyers and promotion advertisements already put in. That with this 4,000 euros, you will probably not even have enough for the rent of your office space. Let alone to pay the staff that already worked on a monthly basis. And obviously, again, we are very lucky because I think most festivals are actually doing really good. And if you maybe manage smart, then you have a little bit of a
reserve.
But this doesn't go for everyone, and it definitely doesn't go for everyone that already was struggling in this kind of
that's the thing. I think a lot of people in our scene, for if I speak for myself, and I think for a lot of people I know, I would love to have some savings, but we always took a lot of risk because we wanted to get people to perform that are maybe not getting in most of the people, but that are the most exciting. And we made that choice. And because of that, we don't have any savings. So, it's, and of course, it's my own choice. And again, I'm very lucky that I live here, obviously. But it's just, for now, like, we survived so much. I was talking to Chris about this. We survived the fire, everything. And then
I forgot about that.
And then this is gonna like take you down, maybe.
I mean, I was also talking with a friend yesterday that I know people that actually survived a crisis like almost fatal diseases and wars even and dictatorship and are still alive. So and here we're all home quarantined with some money of the government. So we're not that bad. It's actually the sun is shining. Not for everyone, unfortunately. And I'm curious if there's like in your close community any like ideas that came up to support our scene, or maybe like specific culture or like sub communities. I don't know. Like, is there any ideas that you think like, oh wow, I didn't think of this, or this is really going to benefit us?
On a very, very small scale, a friend of mine told me, and I really like that idea. She only gets like the little amount of money from the government, but she still, every month, she has a little budget to spend on friends that are having a hard time, you know? So she buys presents for, it's Laura. She buys presents for her friends, from friends who are having a hard time, you know? So if everybody would just only use a few euros to spend on their friends who are having a hard time, and we can just help each other out, even if it's on such a small scale, I think that's super important now.
People also have to feel comfortable with like asking for help, because I think that's also a problem. Maybe not publicly, but just like asking your real friends, like, "Yo, I'm struggling."
I feel like the Netherlands, like the whole, like the Dutch mentality isn't very much so like focused on, in comparison to Berlin. Has been already for a month now, Berlin Nightlife Fund that has raised a lot of money to help nightlife people that really need money. And I feel like so many people have been going to bar for years now. So many people have been going to so many clubs. I feel like that's a bit of what I'm missing in the Netherlands. We could, or at least some people, or we could like put up something to help nightlife in need. And I feel like there's so much ground to gain there still.
I know that United We Stream is going to happen in Amsterdam.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah, I mean, I totally support fundraisers, and I'm myself also saving a bit of money to buy music, merch, and support the fundraisers. And this is offering some immediate relief that is very needed. I think it also feels for me like a short-term band-aid that is trying for a wound that is too big to heal in this way. That I think we need more structural changes and have like a bigger conversation that includes sustainability for the future, which I think is. I'm not sure if it's happening so much now. I think it demands some proper research to really measure the impact.
Can you name a little example, or maybe a big example of what you mean by structural changes? Is it like the way the industry is working with agencies and like traveling, or is there, or like what do you?
I think all of those conversations that we were having before about so many people were in doubt about the direction that the scene was heading into, because it was a bit quite over the top, and it was very saturated. So and it was just not sustainable. So now we feel that crash, and I think we have to reconsider many things. So I think those conversations are starting, but I think there's more research needed to really like come up with specific proposals of how can we make this more sustainable.
But it's also not, I feel that it's not only like we as a, like maybe as an industry, but also maybe the people that actually visit us need to kind of think also for themselves, because if I don't want to name anything, but if I hear the news stations talking about what festivals or what important events get support of government, where are all the people that are yelling like they don't care about what the government is supporting? Because there's a whole industry that is maybe one of the biggest in the world, in Holland, that is crying for help and not getting any, not getting 6.7 million of Rotterdam City Hall. For fuck's sake.
I don't know.
Yeah, but it's always the big discussion about, like, I was talking with my colleague about this too. You know, there's always the big question from the municipality, like, how much of culture is dance culture, and they don't really get it. Like, for them, it's not a piece of, it's not art. It's like recreation, and that's
the shittiest thing is the government even gave 300 million euros to the cultural sector.
Yeah,
our scene is not involved in that because we're too commercial.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Like you have these museums and like concerts that already are funded, so they exist because they get funded, and then they get even more money now because they're in need, and we're too commercial to get any kind of money. It's ridiculous. It just pisses me off. Yeah.
To get back to like the community part, I feel like what Elisa said, where you it's so important to buy music now. And for example, like platforms like Bandcamp are offering another day of the 1st of May where you can buy music and 100% goes to artists, which is something that's nice.
Yeah.
And then also, especially in the Netherlands and especially in Amsterdam, I've already signed up, but you can sign up to the organization of the Nightmare and get free consultation.
I didn't know that. Okay.
And you can literally, like the Nightmare, they know everything about what you're eligible to get and what not. So it's very much so they give you a lot of new insights on what you can apply for in the future and what
Good.
It's really helpful.
Yeah.
I'm just like when you say that, I'm just thinking like, okay, so we can support artists by buying music, but let's not forget like all these artists that are also getting their income of their performances. How can we actually support venues, and like how can we support festivals that provide this space for these artists? How can we, like, because merch is, if you ask me, that's not a very sustainable kind of way of thinking how to support a venue, because it asks for production of something, and we're already asking a lot of the world, if you ask me. So is it sustainable? In my head, no. I mean, you can go in different directions, but how could we maybe support venues and festivals, like a part of buying maybe a ticket in advance, you know?
Yeah. I think that's definitely a difficult question because
it's also so insecure.
And I feel like, especially after this, if we get through this and everything would return back to normal, we will still have I saw this video yesterday of, for example, Schiphol and some airlines negotiating on how they would like to return as soon as possible. And there was this solution where they were like, hey, we're going to apply social distancing to the airplanes, which would mean that ticket prices would go up with like 500%. And
what?
Also meaning that we would 100% focus more on our local community and more on local artists. And
but that's gonna, I think
that's great.
Anyway.
I think that's gonna happen anyway. I think that's great in a way also.
I have definitely
written like a big master plan, and I've been discussing this with like several promoters throughout the last few weeks, and it's something that I would like to include you in as well. But I'm like working on using this whole bad situation and turning it into something good, like Elisa said about like making like structural changes and like to prevent we go back to normal, because normal wasn't apparently working. Like we need to focus on the local scene and create like a jumping board for new talent and focus on Dutch headliners. And also that also affects indeed like the CO2 emissions that were also it just grew exponentially throughout the last few years, and not booking the big international headliners anymore, but going for the Dutch headliners and really
I'm
growing
completely
the local
with
scene.
you.
Yeah.
I think
But
that's.
that only works if we work together, like as a whole country,
Yeah.
I
instead of
think
like as a whole community.
this should also like not only this shouldn't be only for Holland. This should be for every country. Like focus on what you have, but maybe because
Definitely.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
we have a really great discussion. I think I need to kind of like hit stop for a moment, and then we can like end it up in the last 10 minutes because I think our time is up soon, and then we can pick it up where Veronique left it, and then we just have a few more positive notes because, and then I think we've nailed this thing.
Sickening.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, are you gonna send us a new link?
Yeah, by email. Okay.
Elisa,
Yeah,
sickening.
okay, cool.
No, but
Okay.
I saw that they prolonged the minutes. Didn't you see the pop up?
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah, we have unlimited time.
Oh, great.
Oh.
Okay, then I'll just shall I just stop and then hit recording again?
Yeah, I think you can just hit record whenever you're ready.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Wait.
Yeah.
Okay. So we paused the recording for a moment because I thought we were running out of time, but we weren't. So it was completely unnecessary. But it's good. So we're gonna change the subject in a little bit. So because for me, for example, COVID has been like if I literally go deep and think like what it literally means for whatever I've been doing for the last 20 years, it's like a meltdown, completely devastating. Is kind of like the worst thing you could ever imagine. But it also was this break of like literally stopping time in whatever I was doing. It was something I was kind of like I needed a break of this nightlife every week, and I feel that I finally have time to go through my records, and I'm actually talking to my friends for longer than 5 minutes again. I'm cooking again every day. You know, I started to think really out loud, like what do I really want in life and how do I want it? And it also made me think a bit more about how this nightlife was going, and exactly what we already pointed out, is this how we're doing this sustainable, and is it a fair market? So yeah, I was just curious if I'm the only one here, or if you are maybe also feeling some positive things coming out of this. Yeti, let's start with you.
Well, I find it. I sometimes find it really hard to find structure. I'm really not an indoor person. I'm a very physical person, so I find it really hard not to hug everyone and not to be around everyone. So that's even one of my friends said to me yesterday. He said, "You were the first person I was thinking about. Like you can't not be around people." So that's a really hard part of it. But I'm FaceTiming with everyone, and I'm like trying to take some walks with people. And but the positive side is definitely, well, for me it's just realizing I've been thinking over the past years sometimes like the career choices I made, if this was really what I wanted and if it was the right choices, and now I'm completely sure that this is what I want to do in life.
Yeah,
and,
exactly. Oh, that's
made me
beautiful.
reappreciate that the music scene is really my thing, and I can't do anything else.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Nice.
Yeah, that's nice.
You, Ilyas?
I feel like I'm with you at first, where I was like a total meltdown, and then you've done it for 20 years, and I've done it hardcore for 1 year. I feel like, and especially when you work in nightlife, I feel like that goes for all of us. You work so hard for so little in comparison to other people.
Yeah, and it's your life.
It is literally your life, and you're so caught up in it, and you work so hard to make things happen, and then you sometimes forget about other things. So taking care of yourself, of your body. I've been even like getting into like spiritual stuff. I've been reading up. I haven't read a book in 2 years. I've just recently finished my first one.
Wow! Yes.
That's good. Yeah.
I mean, I've been working out, just trying to stay sane, and it's really weird that it took this critical of a period to finally take care of myself, but I'm happy that it's finally happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. And for you, Elisa?
I think having the time to stop and reconsider is super valuable. And I'm also realizing how lucky and privileged I am. I have love, I have music, I have books, I have psychedelics, I have NPS.
Did you say that? Wow.
So I'm totally covered.
And you have your pigeons.
Yes, those are not living.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love it. Amsterdam, Holland is great. And what about you, Tiffany?
Yeah. I also have psychedelics. I can really tell that my body is very thankful for this break. Like, I've never been this healthy in my whole adult life. Like, I sleep super good. I feel rested. I have energy throughout the day. I already ate pretty healthy, but now I even stepped up my
I know. I was always so envious of you.
Yeah, but now it's even better. So, and I move around a lot. I'm really thankful for having dogs in my life that, like, they're always happy to be with you, and you can, like, take them for walks.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've also became more closer with my loved ones, because even though you can't see each other, you really need that contact. So it's, even if it's just like a call or like a FaceTime call, it's like super nice to have support from people, or just to talk about other stuff instead of this whole shit show. It's like you really grow closer with people that you really care about. So that's also nice. And I've also been taking a lot of online master classes to also, like, grow mentally. Now I finally have time to do that type of stuff, and read books indeed. So I mean, it's nice to have a break and to really feel that you don't have to, like, go forward the entire time and be rushed the entire time. Also, because the whole world is standing still at the moment. So
one more thing. I've never felt more unified with the Dutch electronic scene as during this period.
That's actually what I wanted to say. Like, do you guys also really feel that we're such a tribe? We're such a community. It's unbelievable. We're so close to each other, all of us.
It's amazing.
Nice to know.
And
exactly.
I also think that the Dutch lifestyle is so focused on work and just being busy the whole time and, like, doing things that I'm Spanish, so I think my mentality has always been a bit different in that sense. But I like this time to just also be critical of what we were doing before. Why do we have to be so busy the whole time? It's not healthy.
No, it's not.
True. Very true. I resonate with all what you said. I feel that I can't really express how much positive things there also on this whole fucked up situation. So I don't know if I actually have a lot more to add apart from what we have spoken about. I'm curious if you have anything that you would like to add to this conversation. Anyone?
I think personally, it just helps taking it day by day and not thinking so much about the future, because it brings a lot of anxiety. And I think we just have to keep these conversations going and hope for the best.
I think it's really important to just check in with the people around you, if they are okay and if they need any support in any way.
Yes.
And it's also not okay to not do anything during this time. You don't have to read a book.
Actually.
You don't have to cook for yourself. You don't have to go for a jog if you don't want it.
Yeah.
And it's really good that you say that.
Yeah, true.
And don't watch the news the entire day.
No.
Wow.
It's gonna give you more anxiety.
That's so true. I'm so curious how like let's imagine ourselves in 4 months, how this conversation would go down. Maybe we should have another one in 4 months.
For sure.
Yes,
and to see how this will go. I really would like to thank you all for this conversation. And I think it was really interesting to know how you all feel. I think we're all in the same, but yet we're all in different situations.
Yeah.
And I would also like to, this is just a note for anyone, that if anyone wants to set up anything that would contribute in helping us all out, if it's worldwide or Holland, just reach out to me. I don't know how this would go for anyone in this group, but I'm definitely up for anything that would like collectively rise to positive changes. Holler. And
holler at me.
This is a part of a spurning kind of block of 3 hours. So this next 2 hours you will watch two friends playing Kinetic and Descartes from Barcelona. So enjoy this. Thanks again. And
thank you for having me.
Thank you for talking. And
so much.
Stay safe. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay positive. Applause for yourself. I wanted to add.
Bye.
Yay.